mean, why not, right? Yeah, just thought I'd come on here. Anyway, Sherry's, boy, you guys really you just must have had a really good Monday. Without Sherry, she not feeling well, but, you know, we got some news. I think you guys have all heard. They have diagnosed her with liver disease again, so I guess we'll see where that takes us. But I thought I'd come on here and kind of do my own twist on Ask Lee, but, you know, I guess Ask a Twin Flame. So I'm going to do that. So anyway, connection. How do you accept being connected to? Well, I'll tell you what. It wasn't easy in the beginning. I think I actually experienced trying to convince myself that whatever this wasn't meant for me. And that somehow, some way, this wasn't for me. But, you know, I think you can always tell, oh, hello, hi, hi, Corey. I think what you can start to discover with this connection, if you have stumbled across finding information about twin flames, if you've stumbled across and found information about soul connection, or you just started digging to ask about soulmates, it's interesting because there's one characteristic that sets them all apart. There's only one that's going to make you relive your entire programming and just from feeling. And it's like a direct feeling. It's almost as though you were connected and somehow got disconnected, and now you found connection again, but only to discover everything that disconnected you to begin with. And then it starts to replay. Whew, boy, is that tiring. But I think the beautiful part of it is that what if we all could just have this connection, and we would wake up to realize that maybe being disconnected is something we were taught. And I guess it's just retracing the steps of what you were actually taught. I guess that's what makes it so difficult. It's like we all want to be united in one united front, or we all want to go in these little groups of what divine this or divine that. But the truth is, the divine includes your pain. I think that's where it gets really complicated, right? I look at how I am now versus what I was back then, and I would tell you the biggest difference that being in this connection has made for me is that I finally realized that you're not going to let anybody connect to you if you don't let somebody love you when you're hurting and when you're in pain. How many of you have actually tried that? I mean, how many times have you actually tried to love yourself when you're hurt or when you're in pain? Well, that's, I think, how you know when you found this connection, because the pain is undescribable. And I believe that when it's undescribable in such a way, you start to go look for answers outside of yourself, and that's where the trouble begins. Because it's like this big, huge loop about what you can't actually experience without the noise. But it looks like I should be on here to answer questions, so I'm going to stop blabbing and kind of go on and see what y'all are saying. So I'm going to pull up my laptop because that's going to make it a little easier. And what do you guys think? You guys like the pictures in the back? Should we change it to something else? I mean, she looked at me crazy when I told her I wanted to put the pictures up. And I said, no, I think I want to put the pictures up because I like having you with me. All right, so, oh, hi, Corey. I so need this today. Yes, me too. And Morgan, hi, sending love. Oh, we love you too. I have a question. Does a mutual friend hurt the connection when a mutual friend is toxic? Well, Veronica, let's really talk about that, because I believe that is a brilliant question to ask. And this is a topic that actually, if you were to just go to like the search bar in YouTube and type in twin flames, you're going to be attracted to the very same kind of friend. And what's interesting about that is you learn that. Here's a good way to look at it. Growing up, you had two parents. One of those parents had a choice on supporting you with the other parent. And both of those parents had an opportunity to support you in being connected to both parents. Whichever one had the biggest influence on you and wounded you the most is usually the one you'll be drawn to in this connection. So, what a mutual friend could represent, in this particular case, Veronica, I would say, how did your mother support your connection to your father? What's interesting about that is if she didn't, that's what makes this friend toxic, but makes mom a saint. So it's almost that blurry line of, wait a minute, is that real? Yeah, it's a very real thing in this connection. Very real. And it's gotten to the point where they've divided things. Um, and then the other question would be, Veronica, growing up, who supported what you needed? Who actually paid attention to what you needed and how you needed it? Because what you'll do is you'll draw people close to you based on not being there for those needs or being there for those needs, depending on what you were taught. A lot of these wounds that actually show up, we think that they're on our side, but they're actually a wound that is literally buried inside of the connection inside of yourself. That's why it is so important that if you are twin flames watching or twin flames that are experiencing this and you're in union, we should be coming up with more truth. Not 9 steps to find your twin flame, not, here's why you're going to be in separation. Because if I promote separation, you'll be in separation. And that's why you keep being drawn to that kind of energy. If you're looking up why we separated, they're giving you the information on how you're going to stay there. And as long as I can keep you there, you're not going to have connection. There is no magical number in the number of people that can have connection. That's just a big group of people that decided that would be great to kind of have diversity and connection. It doesn't make sense. Everybody should be promoting how you should have this connection. I get it. It's painful. But I'll tell you this. Would you ever let somebody be connected to you without your pain? And maybe that's the whole point. I mean, if pain is what brought us here, then think about the release you had and the vulnerability you had when you finally got through the pain. That's connection. I'm sorry, I'm not going to give you the sugar-coated answer, but the truth is, if you want this connection, look inside of your pain. Don't look without it. Don't look for somebody who's going to help you kind of mull it over and tell you that you can have connection without pain, because that doesn't make sense. Nature has told you pain, connection. We're all going against the grain if we're all deciding that once you have this connection, you can't have pain. You're going to have pain, and it's going to be beautiful. There are 2 sides to it. There's the side that wants to resist it, and there's the side that's going to flow through it. And this is where you start to tell yourself the truth about positive and negative energy. You need both. Anybody who wants to convince you that you have to stay positive is bullshitting you. I'm sorry, you need both. You can't, that's like saying, I can start a fire with 1 stick. You have to break the stick in half and kind of rub them together. you need one that has resistance and one that has flow. You're gonna need that in this connection. So I'm not gonna give you the easy answer. I'm gonna give you the truth. Because isn't that what connection is about? So hopefully, Veronica, I hope that answered your question. Oh, hi, Michelle. Haven't seen you in a long time. It's good to hear from you. Lee, what inspires you to keep talking about the whole twin flame journey? Does it ever get a little like been there and done that? I get very inspired, but at times a bit whole drum too. Oh no, I don't think I ever. I believe over the years that we've seen so much pain. I don't think I could ever get tired of being there for somebody's pain. Because that's the key, isn't it? If you can sit there with them in their pain, they're going to start to realize why they called to the connection to begin with. And as long as there's pain, you can really, truly never be tired of it, and you can never feel like you're not out of it. So the beautiful space there is you don't get tired of doing the same thing because we're all not the same. If you follow an individual journey, you're going to learn a lot about that person and they're going to learn a lot about you and you're going to learn a lot about yourself and they're going to learn a lot. It's like this never ending space of connection. You can weave into a whole bunch of other ways to connect once you start understanding that there's always going to be a different viewpoint. We're all separate, but we're all connected. What separates us is the journey we're on. But that journey has led you to this connection. So how is that connected to what you've been through? How is that connected to where you're going to? How is it going to be connected to everything that's this moment? I guess that's what you should be looking for. You should look for why we're not all together. Look for why it's so hard to have a connection that you were meant for. It's not that you signed up for it, it's that it signed you up for it. I mean, we are talking about connection. Our planet wouldn't be here without connection. It's connected to a universe, it's connected to the stars, it's connected to our sun, it's connected. All of it's connected. So when you start looking and asking yourself questions about why this particular kind of connection found you, it's trying to get you to pay attention to connection. It's trying to get you to pay attention to how you've allowed connection to be in your life or how you haven't. Maybe that's probably what you should pay attention to, right? I mean, why shouldn't it just be that? It's interesting is there's so much pain, you become blind to what's actually connecting you. We're always worried about how the other person's going to connect to us. We're always worried about what they need to get through, what they have to do, but the only thing they're doing is mirroring exactly what disconnected you to begin with. So, bravo to them, and bravo to you for having to endure it. So, I'm not going to say there's ever going to be a bad guy and a good guy because I believe they're one and the same. Oh, hi, Maria. Let's see, connection, yes. Yeah, it is painful, yes. Right on, sister. Since being reconnected with my twin, I'm seeing how my thinking will cause disconnection. I'm showing up differently, yet fear of him walking away exists. How do I move beyond the fear? So, oh, hi. Let's see, everybody else here. I'm going to answer that, and I'll come back to it, Corey. I'm connecting my twin flame through the pain. Is that what you were saying? I'm saying, how are you connected to the girl inside of your pain first, Veronica, and then sharing her with everybody you're connected to? Because that's how you lost connection to begin with. We all are taught that our pain and our hurts we have to get strong for. It's not here to make you strong, it's here to make you vulnerable. Did you ever realize that being strong has rejected your vulnerability your whole life? And then you were taught that you didn't need anything. Oh yeah, no, there's a whole volcano of bullshit that we've been taught that this connection is going to make you challenge. And it's going to be challenging because you want the other person to change it for you, and you believe the other person being with you is going to make you change it, when literally that's what disconnected you to begin with. We'll come back to that. That makes sense. Wonderful, colorful foresight. So to go back to your question there, how do I move beyond the fear? Why do you have to move beyond the fear? Why can't you just tell yourself the truth about the fear? What is fear to a twin flame? Well, you guys watched what we went through with Sherry, right? Our biggest fear was that separation was going to find us one way or the other if it meant taking one of us out. So that was the fear. That was a very real fear. And if you noticed, we didn't shut down and disappear from you guys. We reached out and stayed connecting to you guys. And she's still here. So you have to kind of challenge what you believe your fear is. Your fear is a wound from the past, the pain from the past, that still tells you a story about now how this outcome is going to show up in the present moment or in the future. Most of the time, it just paralyzes you in the present moment and makes you believe the future. The problem is with fear is that you have a behavior that your fear needs you to have in order for that fear to actually become making you right. So I guess the more energy you give to fear, the more you're going to be right about what that fear is. And since you were taught that it's good to be right, that's the danger of it. So I guess you're going to have to ask yourself, is the fear about you being right? Is the fear about you being right about being hurt, about a hurt that you refuse to heal? And that hurt that you're carrying, when have you loved the you that got hurt? When have you let anybody love the you that got hurt? And that's how fear gets its energy, because it's all connected no matter what it is. Your thoughts, your feelings, the emotions that are created from thought, everything that you're experiencing is very real. The biggest thing, though, your pain is always going to be your truth. And if you haven't accepted the pain, if you haven't accepted the truth about your pain, you're not going to let anybody else. So the fear is really kind of making sure that you abandon that. The fear is about you adding to a pain that you refuse to go into, refuse to love, refuse to heal. Why not just let somebody love you? And I guess, Corey, the question is, how have you spoken the fear to the person you're connected to? And say, and always make it that it's not about them, because that's how fear wins. Fear wants you to make it about them, and then makes your behaviors start to offset, so they start doing the behavior of what you fear. So why not just, hey, my mind's telling me this is going to happen, that's going to happen, you're going to do this and you're going to do that. And what's interesting is my feelings in me, I don't want that. So what it's doing is it's making me pull back from you, which is giving space for that to occur. Help me. Makes more sense, doesn't it? So Corey, I hope that landed in you, because I can tell you one thing about fear. It doesn't give up. And until you fall in love with fear, it still has power over you. That's the thing. Fear loves you, and you don't love it. But that's what fear is counting on. Fear is not counting on you to love it. Once you fall in love with fear, you'll start treating fear like you would a baby, an infant, a child. You'd listen and go, boy, you have a hell of an imagination. But what about this other side of the story? There's two different ways that you can handle fear. There's so many different ways that you can experience it. I guess you have to ask yourself a question. Do you believe what you think, or do you want to believe what you feel? Because fear counts on you believing what you think. Hopefully that makes sense. And if you guys like this video, thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe if you're first time listener, first time caller. Let's do that. But I would love that. Let's see. So, what makes the twins stop communicating? Well, here's how that works. I believe that is Zenel. Hi, Beverly. Hi, Miss Grace. Hi, Rosie. Okay, what makes the twins stop communicating? You know those things that you wish you would have opened up and shared with your parents? You know, your mom and your dad, or you should have opened up and said something about how you were feeling. They're meeting you in that space. Yeah, you're not going to like it. Their silence is telling you how you have silenced. Okay, what's an easier way to do that? Did either one of your parents hurt you? This is a yes or no question. Somebody down here want to put yes, I can use you as the example and we can follow that. It's going to be yes or no question so you can see why the silence occurs. Has a mother or father ever hurt any of you? Yes. Okay. Mario, perfect. Okay. So was it the mother that hurt you, or was it the mother that hurt you? Okay. So we're all getting yeses. So what you're going to be looking for is a feminine energy, and when they hurt you, or when you feel hurt, how did you tell them about the hurt? Did you tell them about the hurt? Yes or no? Now, telling them about the hurt is not telling them how they hurt you. It's telling them, hey, I'm hurting and I don't know how to heal. I'm hurting, and these were the events that led up to that hurt. If the conversation never started with that, you never told them. Sorry, but that's the truth. So, Did you tell them about the hurt? Yes or no? Next person to answer is what I'm gonna follow. So the last one I see is Zanai said yes. So no. So Veronica said no. She did not tell them. She did not tell her mother no. Veronica, did you feel that you and your mother had an unbreakable connection? Yes or no? Yes. So you believed that the woman you're directly connected from, you came from her body, your energy, your heartbeat, everything. You say that you had an unbreakable connection, but you didn't tell her when you were hurt, and she probably picked up on the hurt, and you both stayed silent in it. Does that make sense to you, Veronica? Yes or no? Does that make sense? Yes. Okay, perfect. Now, the you that was silent after you got hurt from your mom stayed silent. To this day, are you still silent about that hurt? Yes or no? To this day, does your mother know about that hurt, Veronica? Is that a yes or a no? She passed away. We had a time when we both cried. Okay, but here's the thing, she's in the silence now. So, any of the hurts that you didn't get to resolve with her, this is the space where that hurt resides, your mother's energy resides, and whether it's unresolved or not, this, I promise you this, right now, what's happening in your connection, Veronica, is whatever that's got the communication stopping between you and your twin is because of unresolved hurt. Has nothing to do with your twin, has everything to do with what you learned. So there's a you inside of that silence. When have you given her a voice? And if you've given her a voice, did you allow anybody to connect to how it made you feel? That's the point. The point is this: those feelings in you have been trapped off. When you meet your twin flame, if you are looking for information about twin flames, nobody is pointing you to this direct truth. The you inside of that hurt that got trapped, that's been silenced, is exactly why they're silent, because that's what you learned to do in connection. If you're not looking for this and you're not finding any information for this, that's why Sherry and I are doing what we do. So you can imagine, we're just not tired because we don't know how to give up. We're both still here, both still doing this for that very reason. It's easy to get buried. It's easy to lie. It's easy to hide. It's easy to wear a mask. Not easy to be connected to, especially if you learned how to cut off yourself on the inside of a connection that you weren't paying attention to in the first place. The unbreakable connection that Veronica had with her mom, there was a space there where Veronica was able to grab her own power, silence herself in a hurt, later on could resolve it, but ultimately, what did Veronica learn from whatever age she cut that off to the age of where she lost her mom? She learned how to silence herself in connection. Guess what? If that's unhealed and you stumble into this connection, your twin will trap and trip right into that and stay in the silence until you realize that you learned how to cut yourself off. Has nothing to do with them. Has everything to do with the part of you that learned how to silence themselves in connection. So what you want to do is really pay attention to things that you're really not paying attention to. Because just like Veronica was saying, well, yeah, but then no, I didn't. But then yeah. So this yes or no, there's still a girl on the inside trapped, connecting to her, asking her about her hurt, sitting with that hurt, being there for that hurt, knowing that that hurt has never had connection. That's a part of each and every one of us. I mean, think about it. In a world where we should believe in connection, we don't. We don't even talk about it. We don't talk about each other's pains. We don't talk about each other's hurts. So this connection is going to bring the worst hurt, the worst pain out of you to show you that you can heal, to show you that you can have connection. Not while silencing, hiding, people pleasing, acting like you're okay when you're not. That shit just doesn't work for connection. I'm sorry. I wish I would be on here to tell you something that sounds really fluffy, like, I can show you 5 steps to finding your twin flame, and I'm sorry. I would rather tell you something that's gonna make a difference. There needs to be more connected people in this world because the world needs connection. Sorry. That's why I don't believe in telling you something you don't need to hear. I want you to have the truth. I want you to have what we have. And I'm sorry, but it's the most beautiful, dysfunctional, functional connection on the planet. And I never give it up for anything. Because you know what? When I'm in pain and when I'm hurt, we broke our silence. And we know how not to punish each other for it. Wouldn't that be the key? What if you could just say all of your pain, all of your hurt, and not feel judged, and not feel like you did something wrong, and not feel like you're not going to have connection? If you're not looking for this, then how do you tell yourself you're looking for connection? How are you telling yourself what this connection wants from you? Connection doesn't want anything from the other person. It wants to know what you're going to do to be connected to. And it's consciousness. Nothing about that has to require thought. It just has to require everything you feel. Because every feeling you have is conscious. And it doesn't have to be locked up in some prison somewhere. Let's see what else you're saying here. She passed away. We had both when we cried. Yes, I'm supposed to resolve these issues. They're not called issues, Veronica. They're called disconnects. Thing is, when you had these things on the inside of you, we found a way to label them, and believe that we can resolve them. The thing about when you resolve something, how's that reconnecting them? If you can explain to me, Veronica, how resolve and reconnection occurred, that would make sense. But what I hear with resolved is there's still a child on the inside of you that needed a connection when she was in pain. How did you make sure she got that? And how do you make sure she gets that all the time now? That would be the space where connection is open, where connection is granted, where it's not a matter of right or wrong. It's not a matter of resolving an issue. Because if we believe we have issues, if we believe we need work, if we believe we need fixed, how are you accepting connection when you're telling yourself you're broken? Thing is, maybe you just need to ask yourself a different question. Can I love through a broken heart? Can I love through a shattered heart? What about that? Hey, Omar and Maylee. Oh, Maylee, wow. What were you saying wow to? Okay, so let's see. Hey, Lee, Mr. Brown, my Brown, hi. Salma, how to heal that. Self-love. Self-love is a myth. You are love. You don't need a self to tell you otherwise. Once we believe we have an identity that identifies with what we're calling love, how does that have to do anything with everything you feel? Love is not exclusive. It includes your pain too. It includes your hurts too. It includes your choices too. It includes everything you've been through. It includes everything that's going to be. It includes everything in this moment. Love is never isolated to a self. If you have self-love, you've done something and put yourself in a box, and now who can get to you? So maybe you should look at what self means to you before you attach love to it. Because love is love. and you're all love. You just now have an identity that's trying to keep you from what that actually represents and what it means. It means you're connected to everyone and everything. So maybe self-love is not really that unattainable when you drop the self from it. Self is an identity you really don't need. How to heal? Well, Salma, how do you let people know when you're in pain? How do you let them know when you're hurting? How do you open your heart when it's been wounded? How do you accept your pain? How do you not tell yourself a story about what that means? How do you go through and really look at what you're saying when you tell yourself you want to heal? I guess ultimately, every single person who's probably watching this right now, 40 of you, if you all wrote a definition of healing, would it even match? If you all wrote a definition of what pain is, would it even match? If you all wrote a definition of love, would it even match? So many variables, so many equations, but none of the math adds up to connection. So I guess you're gonna have to ask yourself, is love something you can have if you hide your pain? Is love something you can have if you're not connected to your pain? Your pain is not the myth we all believe it is. Pain is much more beautiful than that. Pain is much more vast than that. Pain is something that is so deep that it'll break you open, not close you off. We all believe we gotta hide and keep ourselves, let me protect myself from getting hurt. That's just hurt spilled over, creating a wall that's saying, yeah, I got hurt over here and I'm not letting you in. That's one hell of a prison for people to say they have self-love. I don't agree. I think you have to kind of go, wait a minute. What did I do with the hurt that I had that's making me want to protect? What did I do with the hurt that makes me want to create boundaries? You're asking what you're doing about keeping people out of your hurt. You should be asking, what am I doing to go into it? I guess it's really a matter of connection. What do you want to be connected to? Would you want to be connected to somebody who doesn't hide their hurt and their pain? Maybe that's the ultimate question of what this connection is trying to ask you. Let's see. Let me catch up here. Omar, Veronica, heal childhood wounds. A child doesn't need to know how to heal because a child can fall down, skin their knee, sit right back up, and run over to somebody, put their arms around them, and they'll put their hand on the knee, and they'll do everything else. So it's almost like, yeah, I'm sorry, Stefania, I keep wobbling it because I think I keep kicking it. My bad. But, maybe I should be doing the wobble. Maybe I'll do that at the end of the video. No, nobody wants to see me dance. You don't want to see that. But anyway, I guess healing a child. Here's the thing about the child on the inside of you. I refuse to call inner child because there's so many things that get attached to a child, and once that child has a story and identity and what they've been through, we basically keep realizing we're doing nothing more but forgiving everybody else, and the child never gave you permission. Are you gonna have connection if that child doesn't know what forgiveness means? If that child didn't give you permission to forgive your parents, if that child didn't give you permission to forgive your twin, if that child didn't forgive the marriage that you drugged them through, the relationships you've been through, if that child didn't do that, forget it. This connection will be the furthest thing from you because separation is just like one step away. It really, at all times, will be. Your connection to your inner child has everything to do with your vulnerability. That's the simple answer. Remember when we were children? We got hurt really easy, but we didn't really close off unless we were taught, and don't give you something to cry about. And that's where the beginning of our rejection, the beginning of our betrayal, the beginning of our abandonment began. I guess when you go back and you ask that child, hey, when I was told that I'd be given something to cry about, or I was told I'll be okay. I fell down, got hurt. You're fine, get up, you're good. Or I got scared. Oh, there's nothing to be scared of. Oh, the lights are off, you were in the dark. Oh, I'm afraid of the dark. All of these little things that we're told when we're children, a child can unlearn that. And a child can be free to learn it all over again in a different way. Maybe that's the key. The key is, if you were in that infant stage and in that early childhood stage, knowing what you know now, would that child have a different life? Would that child be allowed to connect? A child doesn't need protection because they're always healing. Remember, they're always growing. Their bones are stretching, their muscles are changing, everything's growing. And they have the ability to heal way faster than adults. Adults will hold on to shit from our childhood. When you were a child, you didn't hold on to shit for very long. Maybe the key is becoming that child again. I know that it works for me. Why wouldn't it work for anybody else? Hello, Lee and Solte. Hi, Stefania. It's so good to see you. When I'm in close proximity to my twin, I feel like I'm carrying a heavy load or like I'm moving through a thick sludge like quicksand. Yes, my brown sparkle. I have a question about that. You by chance didn't carry the load of a parent. In other words, some parents believe that it's great to instill the values of being an adult early in a child's life. In other words, they kind of make them older than what they should be, and that child gets to kind of abandon their childhood and become the adult in the house to raise other siblings in the house, to be responsible for everybody. But next thing you know, the only thing you're doing anymore is being there for everybody, and nobody's there for you. What you may be experiencing when you come into this twin flame connection is you want to carry all of the energy and whatever hurt them, because that's what you were raised to do out of connection. Make sense? So I guess the question then becomes, what did you learn about letting somebody be there for you? That's the question. What were you taught about your feelings, what you were carrying? How are you able to open up and express those things? Because what it sounds like is you came from connection. You came into this world, you had to disconnect from yourself and then start being there for everybody else you were connected to. So what's happening is when you get in the energy field of your twin, you feel all that stuff coming up like, hey, I can unload this now. And that's not probably a good idea. So you'll end up pushing them away, or they'll end up pushing you away because your receiver's broken. And it's not your fault. And it's not a bad thing that your receiver got broke. You don't need fixed. You just need to relearn. But you got to go back through what you were taught first, which means that you're going to need to let somebody connect to how it made you feel. And that may be the struggle, because you never developed a way to communicate when you feel like you're overwhelmed with other people's problems, other people's energy, other people's feelings, other people's thoughts. They surround you and you feel like you're nothing to them. And this does cause a lot of different things. I've heard everything from not good enough to I don't matter to I want to take myself out. I mean, there's so many different layers to this. And I believe that causes a lot of conflict. The conflict isn't about opening up to them. The conflict is about you never opening up in the first place. So you want to hurt them the way that you were hurt. You want to unload on them, and then you might open up your receiver, but then you close off your ability to give. So you'll need to find the even balance. Root Camp is beautiful for that. Root Camp is a program that Sherry and I wish I could call it a program. I wish I could call it a process. I wish I could call it something. It's how you find your way back to connection to you, but not without your pain. We got to find your pain and figure out what you did with it. And then we got to figure out what hurt you that put it in that space. Because when you connect back to that pain, you'll be rebirthed into something different. Your thoughts will be different. Your experiences will be different. Your reactions are different. I guess you're going to have to make your connection to you a priority before you can have connection. But that's the challenge, isn't it? Especially if you surround yourself with people who like to take from you all day. It's not their fault. You taught them. But you were also raised that way. So we got to find the you that doesn't want to do any of that anymore and wants to be something different. Being something different would mean we have to figure out what judgments keep you in that space. Judgments are nothing more than a belief system you've had to carry since you had to start abandoning your feelings. If you didn't need judgment, I guess you'd heal. Hmm. If you want to do camp, email relationshipreinvent@me.com. I got you. And I believe there is a special in the community for people on YouTube. Don't know if we have anything for people in the group, but I know Ask Sherry, I think she's doing something on Monday, but either still, there is something going through the weekend. Hit me up. I got you. Um, in my childhood, I associated love to pain, whereas the TF journey has also been painful in shedding old beliefs. But sometimes it's difficult to distinguish which pain is which. Any advice? All pain is birth energy. Um, when you associated love to pain in your childhood, who gave you that pain? Where did you experience pain the most? Did you experience it from a mother? Did you experience it from a father? Did you experience it from both? Did you experience it from a stepfather? Did you experience it from a stepmother? I guess there's so many avenues that can go, Nicole. What I would tell you that's going to help you really truly get to the core that's creating all the belief systems will be how you access your core pain. But that's not easy to navigate, and it's not something I can probably do here and answer that question directly. But I can tell you the steps. The voice that you never gave yourself when you were trying to convince yourself that love is pain, um, who actually gets access to her? Who actually gets access to that Nicole that's sitting on the inside of you that says, you gotta hurt me to love me? And once you tap into what that feels like in you, you're gonna feel this excruciating pain that will probably bring a lot of tears to your eyes. The goal with that, Nicole, is not to hide it. That's where you abandon your vulnerability, your ability to heal. So what you had to do is you had to replace the pain and the vulnerability. There's so many different questions going through me right now because connection doesn't stop once you actually hear that kind of pain or feel it. You gotta follow the pain. The pain will lead you to love. Not the love will lead you to pain. The pain will lead you back to what true love is. True love is what you're looking for, Nicole. Then the truth has to come out. Who was it that told you love is pain, or who was it that showed you that love is pain? And have they ever heard you say that? And you tell them you have to believe that because you couldn't make sense of what you did get. I guess when you sit down and really open up to somebody who really wants to be there for you, you'll start to find a way to change your beliefs. Hopefully that did something. Nothing else, Nicole? I believe there'll be a 30-minute thing up underneath here. That is me. Yes, Marty. Mandy. Hey, Mandy. Ali. Yeah, I had to learn how to receive. Mali, when you learned how to receive, did you connect to the hurt and the pain that was already in you when you did it? And how did you let people receive that hurt and pain in you? Mandy, I adore you both. Oh, thank you, Mandy. Appreciate that. Wait a minute, is this Mandy with the 350Z? I'm a car guy, I'm just telling you. Let's see, Malie, Chu. It was like very intense because it was a wound that my father and brother didn't fill. His love filled that void. Well, you kind of just told on yourself. A man you directly connected to and a man you're connected to never loved you the way that you needed to, and it never filled anything. So what your twin will experience is trying to fill something that's bottomless. You never created a depth. So what will happen is he'll have to keep chasing and chasing, and ultimately what's going to end up happening is the depth of where you need to go is something you didn't open up and share with your brother and father. And if you didn't learn to communicate it there, your twin's not going to communicate it with you. In other words, they're going to just kind of ghost you. They're going to kind of walk away from you. That's how ghosting patterns begin, because we leave things unsaid. We leave things that we things that we were taught. If you were taught you don't have needs, it's really easy to ghost somebody. Um, and that's how that happens. Think about it. Most of the time, you won't open up or share or even reach out to somebody because you never were taught that you could need. That's another way to ghost. Um, and we've seen that pattern quite a bit. I don't think I'm ever going to stop chasing connection. I don't think I'm ever going to stop looking for all of the different ways we get disconnected from, because there's so much reconnection that can occur. I mean, I want connection for everybody. I don't believe it's selective. And I just feel how I feel about her, and I know how she feels about me, and it's weird because I look back and I try to think of what my life was like when I didn't have connection, or didn't believe in connection, or didn't even know that there was such a thing. It feels like it was just yesterday, but at the same time, it feels like it was eons ago. I guess that's how you get so present in your pain of all of it. I'm gonna need to go. I do have a call I gotta get to. I hope I got to some of your questions, and I hope this gave you some answers to look for when it comes to what you should be hearing. Look for somebody who wants to pay attention to your connection to you. They're going to help you find and discover the answers to your connection. You can't find it in the other person, and they can't help you if they keep telling you to do this or do that to the other person, or how to run from that. I mean, it just doesn't make sense. If this is a soul connection, the deepest there is, shouldn't we all be talking about connection? Not how painful it is, not how torture it is, but ultimately how you can have connection no matter what. We love you guys. If you're interested in doing root camp, reach out. The last class that we're doing for Get Out of Separation, it's amazing. I don't know if any of the people that are in the class are in the room, but I'm telling you, they're getting it. They are, oh my God. They see the plateau. They can see the strength. Know this, you can have connection. We love you. Stay connected.